light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets were glad, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave, brave, brave. So this next election, you can follow. You can follow Aria. This next election are by these two brothers. They are my leaders in this organization, and I put them up to the task. A request was given, and I said, I think y'all can handle it. So I want you to put your hands together for DeJuan Morrison and for Cameron Ritchie. Yes. Turn it on. Oh. I was born by a river, in a little tent, and oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long wave your hands in there when you do this.
Asked to do scripture and prayer. In our first scripture, they're both very, very brief, but they both pack a wallop. From, how's this? Put it away. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. These two scriptures are very brief, but they pack a wallop. And one is one of Martin Luther King's very favorite scriptures from the book of Amos, when he would intone, "Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an everlasting stream." And then one of the hallmark texts, the foundation of both Judaism and Christianity, from the book of Micah. "God has shown thee, O humanity, what is good, and what does the Lord require of thee?" You know what it is. "But to do justice, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God." Would you pray with me? Gracious God, Creator, Redeemer, Sustainer of all life, in this time and in all times, abide with us, fast falls the eventide. Though the darkness deepens, Lord, with us abide. When other helpers fail and times become disastrous, help of the helpless, O Lord, ever and again abide with us. We are grateful to gather together in unity and hope, and to remember the movement and the music that made and makes the movement, and Martin, whose spirit overlooks what we do this evening. As you once inspired valiant souls to be part of the movement, send forth your clarion call for souls right here to enlist in the cause. Through word and song, through inspiration and challenge, touch us and teach us, love us and lead us in the ways that you would have us to go in this moment in history. Inspire us to echo the cutting challenge of Amos, so that we might see in our own time justice rolling down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Heal us, uphold us, hold on to us, and cause us to hold on to you, so that we might embody Micah's timeless truth. But what constitutes a good life, indeed the best life? To love mercy, and to do justice, and to walk humbly with you, our God. And Lord, about justice, overall, give us the decency and the daring, the compassion and the courage, to know that justice is to sort out what belongs to whom, and to return it to them. In your holy name, however and whenever we call it out, in a whisper or a shout, we pray. Amen.
Well, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all into the Oasis Church, where I have the privilege of being serving as senior pastor. And one thing about this, we call it Martin Music and the Movement, but there's really no overall arching organization. This was just a couple of preachers didn't have nothing else to do. decided we ought to do something. So let me ask them to stand. Pastor Fred Herring, who is the pastor of Living Water up in North Kansas City, and then Bob Hill, he was heard known as Christian Crack. And then we're on a phone call every Friday, and been every Friday since the pandemic, since 2000. Some of you may not know my history a little bit. I grew up in Kansas City, born and raised here, graduated from Central High School in 1980. And in 1980, somebody told me in 2020 or 2000, the two of my best friends was going to be some white dudes. I probably would have had some words with them. And anybody went to see how that works. The idea was we need to do something, and we didn't want to do anything that would be in competition or at odds with other celebrations that will start next week. And so we picked this Friday, and I think God got a sense of humor. Because the first time we did this was 2024, and it was like 2 degrees. And it was only about an eighth of you all were here. And so you can imagine my concern when I saw the snow started to fall this afternoon. And I said, guys, got a sense of humor. I'm so glad y'all here. Welcome. Those of you, this is your first time, if you're in the restaurants, you go out and any of these doors and walk straight ahead, you walk to the women's and men's restroom. They are designed. And I want you to know that you've already made my name just because you're over here. But we also believe we have a very engaging conversation that's going to happen tonight. If there was a time we need to have some courageous conversations, y'all, it's right now. And if not now, then when? If not who? If not us, then who? Because now is the time. Anybody who's been sleeping ought to be waking up right now. So we got some times ahead of us. And as Dr. Price says all the time, we got work to do. Dr. Price, will you stand, please? She was also one of the brain students for this, and she's our keynote tonight. And if you hang around here long enough, she's gonna make you do something. So we're grateful for your being here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Me, and all those on the program. You see the program on the screen? Because I didn't have time to print out a bunch of programs. So if you can't see it, ask somebody next to you. We saved the planet. We saved the planet. So next is Brother Fred. He's going to have a special presentation for us tonight.
All right, thank you, Pastor Brooks, for hosting this, and thanks for everybody for coming and attending. I'm excited. And just a few months ago, I was at a music concert at Greenwood Social Hall with a friend of mine, Calvin Arsinia, and I got to hear Melissa Ferrer Seville, and she is our inaugural poet laureate in Kansas City, Missouri. I was so impressed, and I thought, I gotta get to know her, so I got her on my podcast. So if you want to hear an hour interview with Melissa and her story, she's an amazing human being. She's an activist and an educator for justice and equality and all kinds of beautiful things. And she sees poetry as a way to activate all of us into action for justice and equality and so many other beautiful things. So I was delighted to have her come tonight and share one of her poems with us. And I think this is the same poem that you shared when you were inaugurated, a little over a year ago, right? 2 years ago. So, yes, so Melissa's amazing, and thank you so much for being here, Melissa. I want to invite her on up to share one of her poems with us. Welcome, Melissa.
Hey, all. How you doing? Yes. We do good no matter what, even when good is not done to us, right? So this poem that I chose to read specifically for this event, I chose this one because, fun fact, did you know that Maya Angelou and Dr. Martin Luther King were really close friends? Yes, did you know that Maya Angelou was born April 4th, 1928, And on her 40th birthday, April 4th, 1968, Dr. King was assassinated. So I just imagine, like, you know, the feelings of having one of your close friends who you know is changing this world, taken from this world, on your birthday. In this poem, I evoke many of the contemporaries and predecessors of Martin Luther King, such as Maya Angelou, Paul Laurence Dunbar, Lucille Clifton, descendants such as Enrico Giovanni, you know, Langston Hughes' predecessor, you know. And I thought it just carries kind of a sentiment and a spirit that I think Dr. Martin Luther King carried, and I think is important for right now too. So this is called Mounting Meditations on the Shoulders of Giants. 1. A rock, a river, a tree. Marked Dr. Angelo, written with the tools of the ancient master, older than the ones we know. How her words taught me to rise, while this world told me to stay low. Humbled by her heights, a place I aim to go. A young girl beset with gutter, with a glory in my name, dimmed by the light of death, washed in the river of shame, head weighed down with ailment, heart captured in dark. If it were not for this mother, I had to depart. 2. Who will tell Dunbar the masks have come off, as our mouths have learned to match the caves dug into our hearts? Too tired we are with upholding God and confusing this world with a simple smile. Tell Dunbar I must rest a while and reveal these honest tears. For the years have brought the news of chains and a slavery unescaped, increased suffering, increased pain, to which many can relate. But still they expect us to laugh and smile as if this world were alive. Yet there they go with their death machines, saying this is how we thrive. 3. Won't you come mourn with us, Lucille, that every day we must wield the sword of our mouths to defend the sanctity of our one very present and precious life. For how often have I too faced death and have come to love the warmth of my own hand, the starshine of my own eyes in the mirror, the ash of my feet upon sacred land. A girl, yes, a girl I am, who loved herself out of crisis. The barrage of bombastic sentiments whispering what my price is. I crawled out of the mouth of the void, a nihilist's haven and hail. I rejected abstract fantasy, and I learned it was okay to fail. 4. Nikki, aren't we that frightening Anansi, tempting the palm of this world's authoritative arm? Aren't the stories that we weave the sole defeats of their deceit? You reveal to me my fugitive joy, my living water of wisdom's love, how anger escapes me but deploys the righteous flame, the serpentine dove. I cannot look upon injustice without having something to say. Tending to the earth and my soul is how I make it through the day. There is a fabric of truth and a fabric of lies, what's tangled and tangled through. And then there's a song, a vibrating thing that reveals every hue. 5. Hues. I now sing America. I, the beloved. I, the darker sister. I will sit only at the tables where I am welcomed. For before I had been split in two, confused at tables not built for me. And it's true, I contain multitudes. I will speak my own tongue, as simple or complex as I please. I will sing myself whole and allow my community to rise around me. Let the petit me tomber, nous pas tomber. When I was a child, I heard we would not fall. But as I look around, nations crumble, and we must learn that life is all. The thing that lives, the thing that breathes, the thing that is good and true does not exist in these institutions, but it does exist in you, in me, in us, in we. 6, O ancestors and predecessors, how far we have come into remembrance. Our worth is no finite thing. You have edified our foundations. You have reconstructed the roadmaps. You have given us the gift of the rain shower. Let the waters come down. Let it quench those who thirst. Let righteousness be the new blossoms burst. For every seed that we plant and every tree that takes root, let love be the shade. Let love be the fruit. Let the generations to come holy feast. Let them take it in hand and with glory let them eat. Let them all inherit a bright and brand new world, free from the shackles of the void and the violences that we have unfurled. Let them remember those who steadily pressed on. Let them give thanks. Let them sing life's song. Ancestors and predecessors and all who lived in love's bright, bright light. Because of you, we are. And because we are, they all will be all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Beautiful. So, I get to introduce Dr. Nicole Price. It's such an honor. And she is such an amazing human. And I love her heart. I love her ministry. I love her passion. When we did this a couple of years ago, Pastor Brooks is the one that recommended Nicole as the keynote. And I didn't know her. Now I do. I'm so blessed. Thank you, Nicole. I count her as a friend, and so it's beautiful. So, I never would have guessed that she was a chemical engineer major in college. Then she led a huge team at Hallmark Cards, a $20 million budget, and a whole bunch of folks that she oversaw. She did her master's in education. She did her doctorate in education leadership and management. She is now a keynote speaker around the country. She's an amazing communicator. She has a passion for justice and equality and diversity. And she has a passion for empathy. She's trying to lead an empathy revolution in the workplace. Her newest book, Spark the Heart. I encourage you to get it and implement it. Beautiful, beautiful lessons for all leadership teams of all kinds. So there's so many things. She's been awarded. She's been on teams. She's been working in social justice ministries here in Kansas City, on boards. Like, you could just go on and her. Yes, I can't even give it up. But she's also a great preacher. She's preached at my church twice now. And I think I'm just going to have her move in and take over. Then the other thing I learned just this past year at her birthday party is that she's an amazing stand-up comedian. She did a 40 30-minute comedy routine in Eddie Murphy style. And I saw a whole new side of Nicole that I was just thoroughly impressed with. And so, Nicole, I love you, and she's also teaching me how to give good hugs. Yes. So, come on up, Dr. Nicole Franks.
I had to tell Pastor Fred, listen, man, you don't have to hug me if you don't want to. Like, the way he gives hugs, they're so terrible. And so I gotta work on it. So just recently, I learned that Martin Luther King, after college, was a stand-up comedian for me. And so you know what that means? This keynote changed as soon as I learned that. So in honor of Martin Luther King, I thought I'd do a little stand-up tonight. Y'all okay with that? I like to use analogy, and I think analogy will be great for setting us up for the panel tonight. And so to help me, how many of you have ever trusted somebody and then you got God?
Yeah.
Like, they took your money, they stole your man, you got God.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite quotes by Martin Luther King is, our lives begin to end the moment we start being silent about things that matter. And I have become silent about many things, but most importantly, the time I got God. Because I didn't just get God, I got like God, like triple God. I would share the number, but for some of y'all to be a big number, but for one or two of you, you'd be like, that's pocket change, I don't even know why I should care about this. So I'll just keep the number secret. But about 30 years ago, I was working in engineering and I had just gotten out of college. I thought I was balling, y'all. I was making good life choices. And I had just gotten paid. And we used to get paid by the month. So I got paid on that Friday. So on Monday morning, when it's time to go to the ATM, I ain't tripping. You know, you walk up to the ATM in a certain way when you know you got some money in it, right? You know, shoulders and back. Now, I have been broke and walked up to the ATM and you're like, I'm about to put this card in here, it might be like a slot machine. You know? I don't really know if this gonna work. And I hope ain't nobody behind me because I don't want to be embarrassed. But this is not that. I have just gotten paid on Friday. It's Monday. It's 3 days. If I don't have money in the bank, I got turned up and I didn't know I got turned up. I got turned up by horse turned up. Like, what happened to my money, right? I got my kid in the back seat. I'm getting some money out the ATM. And I was thinking I was going to pay for the whole month of daycare. The ATM machine says insufficient funds. Well, you know, machines have errors. Maybe the check didn't clear yet. I'm gonna pick a lower amount. Come, we're just gonna maybe get out for the week. Few less zeros. Enter. Insufficient funds. Now I'm getting nervous. There's somebody pulled up behind me now. And you know when you've been at the ATM for a little bit, you can't just drive away without some money. Because now you're worried about if this person behind you is judging you like, what? So I said, okay, I'm gonna go down to the lowest dollar amount. I'm trying to save my dignity at this point. Just give me $20, please. Just, we're going, $20. Enter. Insufficient funds. I'm gonna do an inquiry. Something ain't right. Certainly there gotta be some money in savings. So now I'm gonna switch accounts. The inquiry said $0 in savings. Now I'm sweating. I do an inquiry for my checking account, and that's when my life took this massive turn. It said $13.99. I look back at my baby because I'm like, maybe he judged me now. You know, $13.74 is the kind of money where people go, why do you even have kids? Like, you're irresponsible. Why you out? You ain't even supposed to be outside with $13.74, Pastor Green. Like, you need to be at home with $13.74. I look at my gas tank because I'm like, wait a minute, do I even have enough gas to get to where I need to go? $13.74 is just not enough. $13.74 is spiritual attack. That's why I still remember the number. And I started to realize something that I think is really important for tonight. You see, there's a difference between being broke and being robbed.
Now,
You say, when you're broke, I tell people all the time, I'm the same person broke as I am with you. I'm still the same happy person. And when you're broke, there's programs to help you when you're broke. Somebody buy me some food. Marge might let me live with her, I can ask Jennifer to go to coffee and she'll pay. That's what happens when you're broke. People help you out, a little charity. But when you've been robbed, you don't want charity. You want your money back. Give me my money. Y'all understand this, right? You see, and Dr. King had language for this. He said that America had given us, Black people, a promissory note. But it came back and it said, insufficient funds. And just like in my personal life, Black people have been robbed. You see, we have been taught to believe that we talk about wealth gaps all the time. Y'all hear Black wealth gap, white wealth gap. What's the wealth gap look like? But we talk about the wealth gap like Black people just broke. But that ain't how it happens. See, when you think about how it happened, you have to understand how I used to live in Kansas City. My Price family left Mississippi in the dead of night, left hundreds of acres of farmland. Why? Because they were forced out. There was no recourse to go to court to say, hey, these people have treated me badly because the power and institutional control did not make provision for that. So they come to Kansas City and people think broke when they've actually been robbed. Been robbed. Let's say I was a Black veteran and I go and I fight for this country in World War I, World War II, Vietnam War. And I come back. I have paid with my body. I'm still paying with my taxes. And you know what's interesting? Empathy can't sit on the bed of hypocrisy. But we are great at it in this country. You can come back from war, and somebody will ask you for your tax dollars to feed the dog that's gonna bite you. Sometimes you gotta laugh at it, so you don't cry. The entire New Deal. If you ain't paying attention, they'll tell you, Black folks just broke in this New Deal, and they got nothing to do with race. Absolutely nothing. It's just so it's not going to be for people who work in domestic work. But we will make it by law, you can only work in domestic work. And so when you think about the generational wealth that gets created from being able to buy a home, being able to benefit from the GI Bill, being able to benefit from land ownership and land sales, you start to see, we ain't broke. We've been robbed. And King said that when you've been robbed, it makes no sense to give you a program. And let me be clear. When I was down to $13.74, I appreciated my mama paying my daycare bill. Thank you, Mama. I appreciated my in-laws paying for my son's clothes, paying for our tickets when we needed to travel. I appreciated every bit of it. Programs. But I needed my in-laws to tell their son to give me my money back. Don't you want your money back? We understand the concept of repair in every single aspect of life except for black. And so what I am excited about tonight is that we all have an opportunity to stop putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah. All right.
It is what King invited us to do in his final book. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community?
Yeah.
He said it is power that we need. Programs are nice. Thank you for programs. I don't know where I would be without that help in the short term. But when that man called me one day, acting like we were friends, I'm a woman of great forgiveness, but not forgetfulness. Y'all want to know what I said? Give me my money. And until such time, don't call my phone. And that is precisely the kind of effort that we need to see today. We end up in these places because we have bought into the Jedi mind track that there is something uniquely wrong with certain groups of people. There's nothing uniquely wrong with certain groups of people. It's just that we believe there's something wrong with certain groups of people. And had I never been able to recover from 1374, what I would have hoped is that somebody would have helped me get my money back. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Listen, we're not suggesting we're starting a movement has already been started without us, but there were some expenses to put this together, and we just want to make sure that we make Brother Fred and some others who contribute to this whole. So this is all period where everybody participates. You need to talk during this period. Ask your neighbor how much you gonna get. What we're going to do is ask our musicians to come and give us some music as we did. Spirituality Ventures is 2 places you can get. How can they get? Just go to the website. So if you look up Spirituality Ventures, or you can go to Oasis Church. You can do it by cash, not by PayPal, or if you're here and you got cash, we're going to receive this. You got to check. That's not. You got to check out to Spirituality Ventures, and we'll make sure it gets to where it needs to go. Listen, can I get 2 men, two preachers? Come on, brother. Come on. You know, gotta get a church of Gary Christ preacher to raise money. Y'all just very good masses right there. And if you all will stand, please. And we're not going to march around anything, just come from right where you are. And just bring your gifts, y'all stand right there in the middle. And just come right on, come right on. Cash App is, the Oasis Church. You can use the Oasis Church in Cash App as well. Just no way of announcements, somebody just mentioned, just in case somebody else can go, it is getting slick outside, so be very careful. We'll try to make sure I think we got some salt, we'll make sure you get to it, but please be careful on your way out, you get to leave, because the sidewalks in the parking lot has got to slip. All right.
All right, if my panelists could make their way to the stage, please. We have Janae Relaford. If you don't know, Janae is a powerhouse in Kansas City. She is one of the most powerful voices on the topic of reparations. And us getting our money. Yeah. She's representing the Kansas City Reparations Coalition. And then we have the Reverend Dr. Greg Ely. Campus pastor of Colonial Presbyterian Church and a member of Unite KC. Thank you so much, Pastor, for being here. And then we have Pastor Mindy Uberino. Pastor Mindy is the senior pastor at Independence Boulevard Christian Church. She currently co-chairs our region's Becoming Beloved Community team and tri-chairs the Missouri Poor People's Campaign. Thank you for being here. Then we have Edgar Palacios. I consider Edgar to be one of my personal friends, but he is also the founder of the Latinx Education Collaborative and a board member at Moore Square and the Health Board. And last but not least, Baba Mickey D. Should you not know, Baba Mickey was a teenager on the front lines facing down angry mobs of adults. To be able to have an event like what we're experiencing here tonight, where you see people of lots of different shades and hues worshiping together. And while he is on the Reparations Commission, tonight he's representing the work of the National Black United Front. All right, Ms. Sabine, you ready?
Sure.
Dr. King evolved quite a bit in his thinking over the years. What part of his legacy do you get the most inspiration and guidance from?
Well, first of all, Hotep, everybody. Hotep is a Kemetic green that means peace. So when I say Hotep, you say Hotep. But Hotep. Another African tradition is that when you are in a group, you always ask for permission to speak. You ask for permission from an elder. I'm an elder, but they tell me I still have to ask for permission. So anybody here over 74 years old can give me permission to begin. Thank you. Let me begin by saying that I'm a product of the Black Power movement. I grew up in the the movement in the late 60s, early 70s. And during that time, we were basically adherents of Malcolm X, Brother Malcolm X. We knew about Dr. King, but from our perspective, Malcolm X was the man, the Black Panther Party, and we really didn't have a lot of respect for Dr. King, even though we knew he had accomplished a lot. But he wasn't a person that we really looked up to. And it had to do with his philosophy, the whole emphasis on nonviolence and that kind of thing. We just felt a different way. But then a couple of things happened. One was that somebody introduced me to a book called King, the Inconvenient Hero. It was written by Vincent Harding. And I read that book, and it focused on the last 2 or 3 years of Dr. King's life. And as I was reading some of the things that he attributed to Dr. King, I'm asking, did Dr. King really say this? Dr. Martin Luther King, I have a dream and I've been to the mountaintop. And I was really astounded by some of his political views at the time. Dr. King was very revolutionary. I didn't know that. And I was really upset the fact that all these years I didn't know that aspect of Dr. King. This book was written about 35 years ago. Second thing that happened was that later on, I heard a speech by Dr. King that's commonly called A Time to Break the Silence, Why I Oppose the Vietnam War. And I'll tell you, if you've never heard that speech, it was given at Riverside Church exactly 1 year to the day before he was assassinated. I encourage you to listen to that speech. One of my rituals is that every morning on King holiday, the first thing I do when I get up is I listen to that speech. And I would encourage you to listen to it because in that speech you'll hear a lot of Dr. King's philosophy on a lot of things. So if you've never listened to that speech, I encourage you to listen to it. What I want to emphasize in a short amount of time is that a lot of people, when you hear about Dr. King, you probably hear this Monday, is that a lot of people are really stuck in this I have a dream era. And so when you hear about Dr. King, that's what you hear about. I have a dream, I've been to the mountaintop. But Dr. King was much more than that. I just want to focus on 3 aspects of Dr. King that he emphasized himself in his later years. One was had to do with the fact that he was opposed to racism. 2, materialism, which if you really listen to them, is an attack on capitalism. And then 3rd was militarism. And so let me just begin by talking, I just want to say a little bit about racism. In later years, Dr. King, when he talked about racism, he really didn't focus on let's everybody get along, race relations, okay? Because race relations is something that, we have these conferences on race relations, but that's something that's really low on my totem pole, because I'm not so much interested in race relations as I am interested in racial equity and racial justice, okay? It's good to get along, everybody get along, that's fine, but that ain't my emphasis. My emphasis is on racial justice. And I think that if you listen to Dr. King in his later years, he really focused on racial justice. He saw racism as part of the whole economic system, which bred racism, and that's what he really focused on. Another thing about Dr. King and racism is that he understood that, just like Dr. Price said, that Black folks had been robbed, okay? He was very clear on it. And the other thing he was very clear on was that Black folks deserve reparations. Now, a lot of times you don't hear reparations in the context of Dr. King, but if you listen to some of his presentations, he was very clear on reparations. There's one speech he gave where he talked about the Homestead Act. The Homestead Act was a pre-Civil War act where white families and Europeans were encouraged to come to the United States, and they were given acres of land. If they would just move in, because at that time, the white folks were moving west, and they needed people to move west because they were decimating the native population, they were massacring the native population. They needed people to do that. That's what the Homestead Act is about. 90% of the land, if you read the Homestead Act, you get not saying nothing, but 90% of the land was given to 98% of the land was given to white folks, okay? And this was some of the initial accumulation of power and wealth by white people. In fact, it is said that up to even today, there are millions and millions and millions of white families that have benefited from the Homestead Act. So that was Dr. King's whole approach to racism. I want to talk about materialism. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to read you some direct quotes from Dr. King. Dr. King, basically, when he saw materialism, he was looking at a very unequal capitalistic society. Okay? Here's some quotes. Dr. King said, I imagine you already know that I am much more socialistic in my economic theory than capitalism. Capitalism started out with a noble and high motive, but like most human systems, it fell victim to the very thing it was revolting against. So today, capitalism has outbuilt its uses. Another question. And one day we must ask the question, why are there 40 million poor people in America? And when you begin to ask that question, you're raising questions about the economic system, about a broader distribution of wealth. When you ask that question, you begin to question the capitalist economy. And I'm simply saying that more, we've got to begin to ask questions about the whole society. Another quote, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, but there must be a better distribution of wealth within this country. And by the way, Dr. King, a lot of times, considered himself to be a democratic socialist. And finally, we must recognize that we can't solve our problems now until there is a radical redistribution of economic and political power. This means that a revolution of values and other things. We must see now that evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism are all tied together. You really can't get rid of one without getting rid of the others. The whole structure of American life must be changed. America is a hypocritical nation, and we must put our own house in order. Dr. King emphasized this radical redistribution of wealth, okay? And what does that mean? I mean, you can't have a radical redistribution of wealth in this country without some type of revolutionary activity. So Dr. King was a revolutionary, and that's what he talked about. Dr. King also had,
Hey, Robert Dean, you told me you don't need the mic panels, brother. What's happening right now? You got people got a time right now. Okay, all right, let's revolutionize on this last point.
you're right. So let me get into this last point of militarism. Dr. King opposed the Vietnam War. And there were reasons that he said that he opposed the Vietnam War. A lot of it had to do with his own moral outlook because as a Christian person. Another thing he said was that it was a matter of young black men disproportionately having to go to war and die for a country that did not respect them. And then thirdly, the resources that war took away from the economic programs, particularly programs that benefited black people. How would we look, and this is my last one, how would we look at this today? I think that if Dr. King looked at the world today, he'd be very much upset about the imperialistic ambitions of this country. This country has 800 military bases around the world. And if you ask the Pentagon, what are they for, what does it protect our interests? Well, how did our interests get scattered all over the world like that? The other thing is that the Pentagon sucks up about $1 trillion. And that's the kind of money that, if you can imagine what that can be done in the black community. And the other thing is that when Dr. King talks about the time to break the silence, he was looking at events like, for instance, the genocide in Gaza, okay? And of course, just like he was criticized when he talked about the Vietnam War. People like Whitney Young and Walt Wilkins, they denounced him for that. They said, "You're getting out of the lane. We're about civil rights. We're not about that." And he said it was a time to break the silence. And so I think that when we look at black leadership today, and we look at the fact that they're very silent on issues like Gaza, they're very silent on what's going on in terms of the United States role in Africa and other places. It's a time to break the silence. And so that's those are my impressions today of Dr. King. I totally respect Dr. King. Sorry to take so long.
Thank you very much, Bobby Dean. We appreciate you. Janae, getting our money back. So what is it that you wish people understood about the concept of reparations that they don't really understand?
I would hope that more people would look at reparations from a lens of legacy, from a lens of inheritance. When people say nobody's a slave today, nobody's a slave master today, that lets me know they don't understand legacy. They don't understand inheritance. So I'm a social worker, and I taught a class some years ago, and I had to study the book And in there, it taught about a statistic, a stark statistic that I learned was if you're born in a family that is in poverty, there's 80 to 90% chance you're gonna stay in poverty for the rest of your life. And the flip side of that, if you're born in a family of wealth, same percentage just about, that you'll stay in wealth for the rest of your life. So when you look at that from a lens of enslavement, and when you think about the legacy harms of enslavement, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, which we're in now, all of that wealth extracted from the Black community, I wish people would, it's those that are opposed to reparations, I wish they would look at it from that lens.
One thing we talked about when we were preparing for this is you said it was a debt owed. It is not a charitable handout. And it's what sparked me to change what I was going to be talking about actually in the keynote. So thank you very much for that. Reverend Dr. Greg. So we've been talking about reparations and militarism, but I want to just narrow in on justice just a little bit. How do you believe faith continues to shape justice work today? Not just in belief, but also in concrete action?
That's a great question. So I have the privilege of serving as a Black pastor in an all-white church.
Some of your members here.
Actually, they didn't make it out to
Oh, sorry, y'all, not all white people. That was a joke.
Yeah. One of the things, so in 2018, the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, I preached a message entitled, "He Had a Dream." And a premise for that message was that I was talking about was in John chapter 17. Jesus said, "I pray that they are one as we are one." So he had a dream was Jesus. Jesus just passed the baton to Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King didn't originate that dream. And in that message, I quoted Dr. King and when he said, "It's okay to tell a man to pull himself up by his bootstraps, but it's cruel to tell a bootless man to tell him to pull himself up by his own bootstraps." And from that message, I had a group of people come to me and say, we want to go deeper, we want to talk more, we want to learn more about that. And so, long story short, we created what we call Bootstraps Ministry. And we began to, have coffee and began to share stories. And so our executive pastor at the time called me into the office. They called us the principal's office at church. And he said, your meetings make it seem like we got a race problem. And I said, I'm not saying we have a race problem. I'm saying Black people don't go to church here. We need to ask why. And from that expression, we began to meet, start an organization. So as of right now, there's a full-blown ministry at our church called Kingdom Oneness. We had to change the name because Bootstraps began to be associated too much with the movement. And we began to do Be the Bridge and classes like that. So we had to make some adjustments. And so what I began to try to disciple the people who wanted to follow me is that what we're trying to do is not a liberal movement, is what it was trying to be associated with. This is something that God is asking us to do. This is not a movement that's associated with the world. Even on, Black History Month is coming up in February. I began to have to paint the stage that Black History Month wasn't established to try to show white people what Black people did. Black History Month was established to show little Black kids that you are somebody. Yeah. That you belong to somebody, that you come from kings and queens and princes, and you got CEOs in your background as well. And so, as the church, I feel like, at least for me, it is our responsibility to teach these kids right here that you are CEO, you got CEOs in your background. You got inventors in your background. You got creators in your background. And for us, as the Christian church, we have to make sure that we make sure these babies know that they are not someone who just haphazardly put in this position, but their forefathers and their foremothers came along and established a foundation for them to build on. we got to continue to support them in that way.
Mr. Palacios, you know a little bit about transforming institutions from within. I've actually been a personal beneficiary of some of you doing that. Would you tell us what you think it takes to transform institutions from the inside out while remaining accountable to the community?
I don't want you to go back out and sleep on the street tonight. That there's not shelter for you. That's not okay in our cities and our neighborhoods. KCK and KCMO both have talked about, do we criminalize camping, homelessness, right? Well, how do you do that when you don't have a place for people to go? And that's
human.
You don't do it if they're human. And so, yeah, I think for us, it's been a swivel of, one, we have to meet the needs that are in our face as best we can with the resources we have. But also we have to start looking at how can we partner with other people who are doing good work all around us and find ways to speak up and bring our voices together. It's one of the things I love about the Poor People's Campaign is that it brings everybody together across all different kinds of lines that we might otherwise draw and says, we have this in common. We don't want things to keep going the way they're going. We need there to be equity economically. We need there to be equity in terms of just honoring one another's humanity. We need all of those things together. And so our congregation formed a nonprofit, Intersect KC, that can actually do more partnerships even and help partner even with those who may not agree with us on a faith level, right? But who can agree with us on the purpose and partnerships for us together. So we do everything now to bring different groups together, whether that's through film screenings that are, shared causes, or coming together for listening sessions and town halls and whatever we can do to amplify the movement of what other people are up to. And the Racial Justice Summit is part of that. It's just something that we feel like whatever we can be part of, we don't have to invent the wheel, but we can, help with others to address those needs.
Based on what you said, I want you to keep the mic, because collective action, sometimes movements struggle because of internal differences. Sometimes we just can't figure out, even when we're doing the same thing, how to work together. So how do we build unity of purpose without demanding unity of approach?
You're giving me that, yeah.
You started, you said.
No, I know. And it's supposed to be something that my faith tradition is built around, building bridges between folks and finding our common ground. So, but it's something we have to work with, and like Edward said, it's something that kind of has to start within myself first, and being willing to realize that the movement's not about me, that it's about the shared goals that we all have. Yeah, I can get my feathers ruffled pretty easily. I have opinions about everything, and I'm sure nobody else is going to agree with all of them, right? But at the same time, I know what it's like to not be invited to the table because I'm a female and a pastor, and sometimes that doesn't fit with everybody. I might agree with them on everything else, but we don't agree on that issue, so sometimes we're not in the same conversation because of it. I've invited people to my table who wouldn't come because of those kinds of things. And I could just say, well, I'm not going to work with folks, but that wouldn't be helpful. And I also could say, bring that to a place of judging the other person, but that's also not helpful and not even really accurate. We learned with we have volunteers from all over the metro, from all different backgrounds, faith traditions, everything. And when that happens, you're going to have conflict. So we brought in the Center for Conflict Resolution to work with us and some of our leadership on that. And they have a great resource around just honoring everybody's dignity. And one of the key things that I have to tell myself in it is, am I assuming what somebody else's intent is here? Am I assuming something about that? Instead, could I be assuming that there is nobody in this room that wants to hurt somebody else, right? They may be doing it, but do they need to be doing it? And if I can give people the benefit of the doubt, that's a way of giving them dignity. And that, this isn't about me. Even if I'm excluded from their table, it's not about me. I can assume that there's nobody wanting to cause harm that's working for these causes.
Well, hatefulness sure knows how to work together, that's for sure. Got plenty of evidence of that. I meant to say in the audience, if you do have questions, Pastor Brooks is going to get cards to you.
so that you can write those down and we'll get to them.
Janae, reparations have actually been pursued and delivered in multiple ways throughout the United States and globally. What lessons from those examples do you feel are most relevant to us?
Can you see if we have something about 5 cars in the youth?
Well, first of all, that is possible. Yeah. Yes.
I don't think they believe you. You hear that though? That was a really clap.
Yeah. So what I am learning from those examples of reparations is
Tell us
that,
what some of them are.
it's
Can you see if we have some 3x5 cars in the youth room?
Greenwood. I knew about Greenwood, but I didn't know they received reparations. So that was very inspiring. Evanston, Illinois, if you're not familiar, is the first city to pass tax funded reparations. Actually, Casey Reparations Coalition, we were inspired by their work, and that is when we began organizing in 2020 to bring a commission, build a commission here in Kansas City. But Linda Sutton is the first instance of reparations. She sued her former enslaved owner, and that was, what year was that, Mama Ricky? 1700s. So definitely, we definitely should have been in tune with her a long time ago to be inspired and encouraged that reparations is right.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a debt owed. And we paid reparations to white slave owners until 2015 for the property they lost. So we know how to repair harm through funds. So thank you for sharing that. Baba Mickey Dean. You've seen movements in Kansas City take 10, 20 years or more to establish. What practices sustain collective commitment when victory is just not going to be fast? Like it's not a microwave. It is a microwave society.
Yeah, can you get the note card, please?
Yeah, they're getting them for me now.
So how do you get us to stay?
Appreciate it.
When we started Black United in front of about 44 years ago, what we did was we would hear about different events, struggles in the Black community, and we would go here to help that struggle. We would go here to help that struggle. And what we found ourselves doing was going all around town, trying to help other organizations put out fires. What we understood was that we weren't really creating anything from it. We could be doing that for help. And so what we decided was that we need to try to, in addition to trying to help all of these struggles, we need to build some permanent institutions. And so we said, let's focus on not so much all of the different issues, but let's see if we can form something lasting. Our focus is on education. And so we built a practice center education that was our goal. We started in elementary school. And we went from there, and we had a whole campus focused on that took about 20 years to get.
Thank you, sir. May I have one more?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
How do you keep people excited about that for 20 years?
A lot of it had to do with the fact that we had good leadership. I don't know if you all know Dr. Lara. Dr. Lara was the principal. She had very good parent involvement, and the school was successful. That was the most important thing. It was one of the highest ranking schools in the state. And so it got a lot of support because it was successful, because it had very good leadership. And the second example I would use is that we recognized several years ago that a lot of Black folks were either underbanked or underemployed. They couldn't get bank accounts. And so we decided that what we needed was a community-owned cooperative credit. And we started We Development Credit Union, which exists now on 31st and Prospect. It's a cooperative credit union. But that process took about 10 years to get us to that point. And so you have to have that kind of perseverance. And Family Avenues, an example, is our own organization. We started back in 1981. Our organization has never received grants. We don't go out looking for grants. Our organization is supported strictly by the Black community. There are very few Black nationalist revolutionary organizations that have existed this long without having to go as white folks, without having to go as corporation money. We're totally self-sufficient. Our Constitution, it says that we have to be self-sufficient. That way, we can take positions, we can take controversial positions. We don't have to go around and see who's going to snatch our money. But that took a lot of years of community of dedication. I've been in the organization since its inception, and what we need is a committed group of people that can stick to things and understand that those things take time. Yeah.
Thank you for that, sir. And speaking of like taking a position and not having to worry about what's the financial impact going to be of that, I know part of the early work with Edgar and I had said something, wasn't even that controversial at a local school district, and they pulled my contract, and Edgar paid me out of the Latinx Education Collaborative budget to make sure that I could still teach that class. And I'm encouraged. And so, Dr. Ely, I want to know, what does moral courage look like in a moment when being safe or appearing neutral is often rewarded more than being truthful?
You just spoke into my world. Every day I find myself in that position of deciding whether I want to be courageous, be quiet. And I have determined quiet is not my personality. It's not what God made me to be. And so you have to be willing to step into spaces and to speak into situations where you know you may be, I'm not thirsty. You need to know how to speak into situations, even if it means that it may be to your detriment. You know, one of the hardest things for me was going through the George Floyd time frame, being the only elder in a room full of people who were trying to denounce the Black Lives Matter movement, and deciding whether I wanted to speak up because my job may be in the line. But I was determined that if God had me to speak up in that position, if they were to remove me, they didn't give me that job in the first place. God gave it to me. And so God gave me that job. If me speaking up in that position, in that space, caused them to need for losing my job, then God had another job for me. And he still has another job for me. You know, sometimes you gotta be able to walk in the position. You know, I just preached this last Sunday about the walls of Jericho. And what do you do when the walls are too high? You walk towards the walls as if God has already knocked them down. You walk towards the walls knowing that you're put you in a position to be in that space to speak. And I think for some of us, we have to be okay of speaking into situations where it may seem like you're the minority, but we always know, all of us know here, we're believers, believe in Jesus, that you plus God is enough. And if you step into that space, the you plus God, no matter what the intimidation factor is, and believe me, I'm in a world where the predominant culture is always looking down with the intention of intimidation. The problem is, I'm not intimidated very easily. So I'm a problem for people. But what I've learned is, when I have trusted God to speak up in those situations, I don't have to defend myself, he defends me. And I think most of us, all of us, need to realize in this circle that we're in this atmosphere that we're in, you need to be able to step into those spaces and speak up, knowing that you plus God is enough. You plus God is enough. You plus God is bigger and better. It's exceedingly and abundant, I believe the scripture said, all that you can ask or imagine. So when you're in those places where they want you to be and feel inferior, stand strong knowing that you plus God is enough.
All right.
Edgar, when change begins to happen, what determines whether it's a lasting shift rather than a temporary moment?
The truth determines it. And I think I want to name a couple of things. First and foremost, permission to be honest. Permission to speak in draft. All right. I don't want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I think some people take advantage of the idea that we are generous with our belief. And I think we have to have a power, we have to have discernment, right? Because not everybody deserves or is worthy of the benefit of the doubt, first and foremost. Second, I don't want to work with everybody. And sometimes I think that coalitions and collective organizations are a tool to slow progress down rather than to catalyze it. And so I have a hard time trying to understand like how to do this work well. I understand that this work is messy, and I want to name something because I am your neighbor, right? The Mike ministry is a beautiful ministry, but it is inconvenient. I have been in many neighborhood or association meetings where my neighbors will complain about the trash, the noise, the inconvenience of having to serve 600 plus individuals on a weekly basis. They are more concerned about their property than about the people. They're more concerned about the property than the people. And this is what I mean about humanity, right? When people see you as property, they have no issue using you, removing you, selling you, consuming you, dismissing you, because you're property. You're exchanging. And so my goal, my hope is if a movement is calling us to this, then we have to be honest about the challenges. We can't be polite. Sometimes I think that our morality gets in the way of justice. And anything can be used as a tool against you and against the movement. And so truth and discernment and the commitment to continue to show up. Because it's a daily commitment. It is a daily commitment. I have to wake up every day and say, do I need to do this? I don't. But I'm going to because I've been inspired by this verse. I'm not a preacher by any chance, so I don't know the Bible all too well, but I do know, I think Matthew 22:14. For many are called, but few are chosen. And so at some point you have to understand, are you being called? Or are you chosen to do this work, and that's how you proceed?
You know, when we were planning this event, we met near the city market to talk about who we were going to have on the panel. And there was a lot of tension about what you just mentioned, because there are thoughts that people have, and they're not necessarily wrong, that we should work with everybody, that we should try to bring everyone along. And then there are other thoughts that say everybody is not looking to advance issues of social justice. And when you see how far the pendulum has shifted the other way, the only reason that has been made possible is because of manipulation and exploitation. And when you have true empathy, you understand what another person thinks, feels, and believes, so you understand that well. Janae, that is the lead-in for this next question. The harm. The Kansas City Reparations Commission has an upcoming harm report, and not very many people know about it. What does this moment require from the community right now? What can we do to help get that information out, or whatever else you want us to be able to do?
So glad you asked that question. So everyone in this room, if you live in the city of Kansas City, maybe if you don't now, but you used to, or even if you are familiar, you have family from the city of Kansas City that remembers what things were like when you couldn't go past 27th Street and other places in the city, or when you couldn't get certain jobs. All kinds of things that people had to deal with, being treated as less than human. But we have a Mayor's Commission on Reparations, which is the story. And we definitely want the community to be tuned in and engaged. We need co-creators of the harm report. So the commission, the research team, they shouldn't be the ones, not even just the KC Reparations Coalition. We shouldn't be the only ones coming up with ideas for the harm report. We need residents, people who've experienced harm, and people who may not have experienced it, but believe in justice. The research team is now taking interviews. There's a survey. So I brought materials. They're over on the table over there. This is a brochure for KC Reparations Coalition to learn about our history. It has meeting times for the commission and the coalition. It has the website to the commission where you can literally go on there and take the survey, the reparations survey, and sign up for an interview. And most importantly, we want to make sure that, so the commission today, the city council today is not the same city council that passed for the commission to receive. And I think we're gonna have another changeover when we're actually ready for the harm report to be passed through the city council. So right now, we need to be making sure that we're voting for city council members who believe in reparations. So when it's time for the harm report to be presented to city council, it's gonna pass unanimously. And we need you all and other residents to be there at City Hall, making sure that if there's any problems, they have to answer to us.
Thank you for that. That just reminded me, we have a table of information over here that you can find out about. One, you have a handout tonight that tells you about all upcoming events, but the things that Janae's talking about, there's handouts over to tell you about those and how you can be connected, and actually handouts for all of the panelists tonight. So just because I am who I am, I've got a curveball for all of you that I want all of you to answer. And it is, what are you excited about right now? You know, there's a lot of chaos. It's a lot of chaos, and it can feel like it's a lot of darkness. But I find that, man, this hatefulness just figures out how to keep going every single day. So I'd love to know, before we get to some of the audience questions, what are you most excited about right now? Anybody who wants to ask?
Reparations in this generation.
Give me my money back.
I guess I'm excited about the opportunities for churches to join together. You know, I was meeting Tiffany in the back of the room, and she challenged me yesterday at a meeting we had. FIFA World Cup is coming to our city this year, and we had this large meeting with, FBI, different organizations, all over the town. 7 people showed up. And she said, Pastor Greg, where are the people that look like you? And I was challenged by that. And I took it on as a personal challenge that I'm gonna give it. I'm bringing them in this room. So I'm excited about the opportunity to bring in more of our people to sit in rooms with suburban pastors and white pastors and black pastors and say, hey, we can't go on business as usual. We expect something to happen differently. So I'm excited about that opportunity.
Well, I'm excited about the young people that I see taking leadership in this movement for liberation. There are a lot of times when organizations, leaders of organizations, they don't want to give up the power, they don't want to pass the time. Right now, there's a group of young people now in Kansas City and around the country. You all heard Melissa earlier, and she's part of a group called The Defender, the newspaper. And these young people are really out here on the front line. On a national level, we were at a conference in Indianapolis back in the summer. There were about 400 people there. This was about how to organize revolutionary movements, and I'm going to say that 80 to 85% of those people were 40 and under. So there's a real movement among young people now to take charge of this movement and to make some serious change. Not the kind of diversity and we just want to be included, but really just upsetting things and really trying to change the whole structure of this society, like Dr. King said, with attitude. That's what I'm excited about.
I'm excited about two things. I'm excited about all of my colleagues and partners around the community that are willing to speak truth to power, to reclaim the narrative, particularly in the faith arenas that has been taken hostage by too many from those who are oppressors. And we need to take it back. So I'm grateful for the colleagues, even if you don't think you're called to preach, you are called to preach, and you are called to take that narrative back. So I'm grateful for that, excited about that. Excited about bringing a bunch of people together on January 27th, it's on a handout. Those that are working for racial justice, and those are the people that I want to partner with, by the way, not from, everyone necessarily, but but those that are committed to that work. We want to collaborate together about how we can not be in silos, but working together, helping to leverage one another's. We're not going to all do all the work, but we can help one another launch each of our things well, and even partner and collaborate on those things and make a bigger impact by being united. And so we're going to focus specifically on what the Racial Justice Summit each year could be used for to leverage here in Kansas City. But my hope is that that can actually be something that's from event to event, yours, mine, all of ours. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about working with AIR and Rev Ed and others on immigration films coming up to try to build that empathy and people's understanding so that people can see the dignity of the Imago Dei and everyone. And I'm excited about also having those conversations with all the FKC and Kansas City Jewish Voices for Peace, talking about how to do that for the Palestinian-Israeli conflicts as well. And so that's what makes me stay in this work, is that I get to talk to and work with all of these people who are committed to doing the justice that's needed. And last thing, pay attention to the Kansas City City Council, because sometime soon, we've been waiting for a few months now, but sometime soon they should be acting on solutions to homelessness that there are solutions for. Another thing can happen, and they should be doing an ordinance soon and hiring somebody from a city who is making it work to consult and actually get some people housed. So.
I'll share something more personally for me. I turned 40 last month, and as part of the celebration of my 40, I put it out into the world that I was going to have 40 copies with 40 different people. And I wasn't going to talk about work or politics because I talk about those things every day. And on Monday, I have my 2 final copies, and 112 people total. And I will, thank you. At the beginning of that journey, I would hesitate talking about God or my faith or religion publicly and so presently. And throughout those conversations, I'll be honest, I was looking for the voice of God, right? I had an experience at the end of last year, October of last year, where I went to a Black Elm Farm, 20 minutes west of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and Drew Robinson, the proprietor of that farm, she shared her story about one day she was working in the basement of her company, and God spoke to her and told her that she was going to open a hotel. And 7 years later, she did. And when I hear those types of stories, I become skeptical. I'm like, why is God talking to you? And why is he telling you to open a hotel? That sounds weird to me. And it was the first time that I just understood and appreciated that that was her truth, and that I was going to live in her truth. And it allowed me to have a conversation with her about, what is the voice of God saying? How did you know it was God? And what have you learned about your journey in spirit and faith? And through the conversations that I've had, I have heard the voice of God. Amen. My faith in humanity has been restored greatly. And what I'm excited about is that I'm just gaining clarity every day on how I'm going to continue to show up in this world, right? And I'm getting clarity on this idea that, like, things are possible. right? That we can actually be a light and be a lighthouse. In this moment, lighthouses are not meant for sunny and, clear skies and then calm seas. Lighthouses are meant for the dark and for choppy waters, right? They're there to guide and to protect and to support. And that, we all can be a lighthouse in this moment. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so for me, it's that closeness and understanding my faith, being able to speak about it publicly and being rejoiced in it. And then knowing that my work is built on a stronger foundation, if that makes sense. So I'm excited about that.
Can I just say one quick thing? When I was talking about being excited about young people taking the lead, I have to mention my own organization, National Black United Kansas City Chapter. We have a strong group of young sisters and brothers that are taking the leadership of that organization. Some of them are here tonight, and so I got to shout out my own organization and our young leadership.
All right, so we're gonna take 5 minutes to try to get through 5 of these questions, which means if you take this question, then you need to be able to answer it in 60 seconds or you can't answer it. You got it? All right, so this question is, what are a few powerful organizations that you would suggest people get connected to and involved with in these times, and why?
Well, I'll just say National Black United Front. I the reason is that, and there are a lot of organizations out there. I'm just not, but I'm a member, so I can't talk about organization. The reason is that what we're looking for is structural change. We really believe in Dr. King when he said that there's something fundamentally wrong with this society. It's a profit-oriented society, not a people-oriented society. And that's our goal, is really to try to see what we can do to make some structural changes in this country, in Kansas City. So I'll shout out our organization.
Look at that, that's pretty good. How do I test myself to know that I am confronting hate with love? You want that one, Pastor? Because I don't know if the rest of us can answer that one.
Can you repeat the question?
Because I'm prone to some pugilistic activities every once in a while. How do I test myself to know that I am confronting hate with love?
How do you feel? If you're confronting hate with hate, Martin Luther King says, darkness doesn't drown out darkness, only light can do that. Hate doesn't drown out hate, only love can do that. So if you feel you're walking into a situation and you feel like you're still hating, then you haven't dealt with the situation in love. Like only the spirit within you, and I don't know if you're a Christian believer or not, but only the Holy Spirit within you can overcome the hate that you have to allow you the ability to love someone who hates you. Only love can do that.
I just want to clarify that doesn't mean necessarily be around them.
I can love you from a distance.
That's right. I just want to clarify that point. All right. Do you believe society's acceptance of the satisfy me now culture could have a positive or negative effect on the current reparations movement? Satisfy me now.
Well, I think it could have both positive and or negative. On the positive end, satisfy me now, well, put your fist in the air, have yourself at these meetings, then we can get it right a lot faster. Yes, absolutely. But then on the other side of having patience, I mean, we have to know that it takes more than shouting and screaming. It takes more than your voice to get this work done. Like you literally, this stuff is a lot of work, you all. It's a whole lot of work. It's a lot of computer work. It's a lot of going to meetings, research, reading. So you have to have a lot of patience to be able to commit to that kind of work.
You said to me something like, and forgive me if I messed this up, but you said something like, we've got to repair the harm, but we also have to do the other work to make sure that we don't just give your money right back.
Yeah.
Can you say how you said it to them, Mr. Dunn?
Well, Baba Leon is in the audience, and Baba Leon over there, he's a community asset.
So people can talk with him?
Yes, and he's always talking about internal reparations, which is the healing I'm not gonna say just Black people need that healing. People, all the people who have bought into capitalism, white supremacy, all need healing. But that internal healing is the individual and collective healing that we need to repair ourselves that government entities, the oppressors, can't do for us.
Thank you for that. All right, what needs to happen now, or what will it take for us not to have this conversation? Somebody said 20 years from now, 20 years, 50 years, any years from now. What will it take?
I'm out answer that because I just had this conversation with my children. My kids, they're 20, 23 years old now, but I had this conversation with them during the Ferguson riots, and we were watching TV. And my son, we were watching TV, he asked the question, how do we fix that, Dad? How do we fix that? You know, and this is my life work, trying to fix this. And earlier that day, I remember he was outside in my backyard playing wiffle ball with Danny, who's Asian. He's playing with Ethan, who's white. He's playing with Louise, who's Hispanic. And I said, keep doing that. Keep doing that. Keep making friends with people who don't look like you. Keep building relationships with people who don't have the same language as you have. Keep wrapping yourself and putting yourself in positions of people who don't come from the same culture as you. That's how, in 20 years from now, we're not still having the same conversation. Keep doing that.
And I'd like to add to that, for us as adults, we have to bring the youth along. We have to bring them along so we won't be here 20 years from now.
We're not gonna get it by osmosis.
No.
You got something to say, Pastor Newton?
I can just say, as a white person, if we don't want to keep seeing this, I think we also have to do that work of building those relationships with people outside of our suburb or our neighborhood. My husband and I chose a lot of years ago to intentionally move from the suburbs into the urban area in KCK because we wanted our kid to grow up with diversity around her. And there's a lot of things that, impact her because of that. And most of that, I would say that's been all great. Like, we celebrate that decision more than anything. It hasn't always been easy for her, but she celebrates it now as she's at college. And I don't think that's the only way to do it, but I was challenged by my sister, my colleague, who mentors me, even though she's younger than me, Reverend Dr. Leslie Kimbrough. Years ago, she challenged us with an anti-racism training. She's like, how many people who don't look like you, and she was challenging all of us, do you have in your cell phone to call? How many of them would you call if you're in trouble? How many do you know? And so I would just say, particularly to white people, if we are silent, we should have a lot more friends and a lot more connections intentionally with people outside of, what we're used to, perhaps. So,
Would y'all give them a round of applause?
Wow, I am truly inspired by the panel and everybody that spoke tonight. Not just tonight. Many of these I've had on my podcast, and the ones that who haven't had on my podcast, they'll be on it soon. So tune into spiritualityadventures.com and check out my podcast. And man, I'm just so inspired. So at this table over here, be sure before you leave, just pick up all of the different things that are on that table. We've got a whole list of upcoming events for the whole year of 2026. All of the organizations that are represented tonight from the panel, or their websites are on those handouts there. And so there's a lot of information. So just pick that up before you leave. And then get involved, get connected, show up at things, do some of the stuff that people talked about, and build those relationships. Because we have to build those relationships and be patient and sustain the work over the long haul. So I'm just honored to be in the midst of some of these folks that shared tonight. So I'm going to ask the choir to come on up. We're going to close. And yeah, let's go out with some music tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
We're going to close out. The final song is going to be Lift Every Voice and Sing. So I'm going to ask if you all would stand with us.
We bow our heads. Father, we thank you tonight for your loving kindness and for your tender mercy. Thank you because you are God and you're God all by yourself. Thank you, God, for everything that has taken place tonight, the knowledge that has been given, the discussions that have been made, and the affirmations, God, that has been offered. We pray tonight, God, as we leave from this place, we'll have a better understanding of civility, humanity, love, peace, justice for all. Now, Father, as your people leave this place tonight, would you put your loving arms and protection around them, that everything will be found as we left it when we return back to our destinations. I rebuke police brutality and traffic ticketing, excessive speeding, drunk drivers, freak accidents, mechanical failure, breakdown, blowouts, vehicular manslaughter. By all means, God, please stay the hand of death. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. No other name whereby men must be saved but that precious name of Jesus. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Thank God. Amen. Amen.